Hello, everyone. Santier here, and today I want to talk about, it's the moral license we give to underdogs. So I think a really good way of examining this is by looking at Star Wars, because it is a classic underdog story. You have the Rebel Alliance that is weak and small, fighting against the incredibly powerful Empire. Empire that's ruled by the dictatorial Emperor who wants to crush all dissent. And the Rebel Alliance are the good guys, and they're given moral license to be violent in their pursuits. We champion them as they destroy the bad guys with their righteous might. And so this is a classic example of where we give the underdog moral license to do things that we would not give the overdog? What do you call the opposite of an underdog? The one in power. We would not give the one in power moral license to do. And this is, of course, violence. The sort of moral license to crush your oppressor that we give to the underdog. We do not give the oppressor moral license to crush the oppressed. We do not give the one in power moral license to destroy their enemies that are smaller than them. We do not give the one against whom the underdog strikes the same moral license as we give the underdog. And this is something that I think is actually a huge problem. The issue here is that it's very easy for people to cast themselves as an underdog in order to gain moral license. And as I've been thinking about this, there's this idea that you should only punch up. You shouldn't ever punch down. And what this means is that the weak, the marginalized, are given moral license to punch up at their oppressors. Right? That this is a way of holding the powerful to account. It's to holding them in check. You're allowed to punch at the powerful, the wealthy. Those are the same thing almost all the time. It's either the wealthy become powerful or the powerful become wealthy. And what I've been thinking about and sitting on here is, while I think at a certain scale there is a certain amount of accuracy to this, fundamentally I've come to the conclusion that punching is just punching. There's no such thing as punching up. There's no such thing as punching down. It's all just punching. And what happens here is that if you look at it on a purely human scale, two people are more than one. So anytime you have a group of people attacking one individual, regardless of power differentials, that one individual is the underdog, right? It's impossible to actually really punch up. Now, I do think we need to hold the powerful and the rich accountable. That is something that I do think is important, and is something that we should be doing. But when I look at the social dynamics, especially with smaller groups, they will always find the spots where they're weak in order to justify their actions. Oh, look, our oppressors are so strong. Our enemy is so strong, we're justified in doing anything to be able to destroy them. And meanwhile, fists are flying and people are getting hurt. Lives are getting ruined. And a single human individual is the smallest unit we're working with here. And it's just something where I'm growing increasingly concerned about these moral licenses. Because here's the thing, right? Is people are not paying attention to the fact that they are strong in places, right? There are many groups that have a lot more power than they perceive themselves as having. And they always cast their enemies as powerful. In part, it helps them raise support. People want to support the underdog. They want to help them. They want to give them resources. I'm saying the same thing multiple different ways, but people root for the underdog a lot of times. And so it is advantageous to cast yourself as the underdog. And here's the thing, like in America, both political parties cast themselves as the underdog. The thing is, they both have areas where they're strong and they both have areas where they're weak. And so you can focus on areas where you're weak and say, we need to shore up and fight against our enemy, the other party, who is, evil incarnate. And meanwhile, people are getting hurt in this whole process, and violence is being justified through the underdog excuse. It's like, oh, we're an underdog. We have to have all tools available to us to fight against our oppressors. And there may be times where that is more valid than others. I'm not here to try to evaluate that. That is a question beyond my scope. But I am very concerned about these sort of mid-tier fights where these social cultural wars are being fought. So I've basically said my piece. In life, it is very rare that we get something as black and white as the morality in Star Wars. The sides usually both have valid points, and they're usually overlooking things. And life is complex. Human interactions are complex. People are different. They have different priorities, different needs. And therefore, our conflicts in real life are very, very rarely clear-cut, all one way. And we end up getting these battles, and then we end up with an internet full of punching, and that's not a place I want to be. I don't know what good alternatives should look like, but maybe we can brainstorm some in the comments. That would be good. What are some alternatives to punching that we can come up with in the comments? Anyway, that's going to be my piece, so thank you all very much for watching. And until next time, everyone, take care, and goodbye.